What's up, everybody? It is Casey with Two Worlds Podcast, and with me, as always, it's the Russell to my Carl Fredrickson, R.I.P. Ed Asner. How you doing, buddy?
Good. That's a very depressing opener.
Hey, man. I mean, adventures out there, you know.
True. So, what's your favorite Ed role?
I mean, so it's one of those things where, like, I forgot that he was this character, but then, like, when I hear the voice in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, that is Carl Fredrickson. Uh, but he was Cosgrove in Freakazoid. I don't know if you ever watched Freakazoid.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, he was Cosgrove, and like that was one of the best ones. What about you, man?
You already know. It's Granny Goodness in the Justice League cartoon.
I was actually watching clips of that today because like we were talking about this before we got on, where it was like I didn't know he was Granny Goodness, and then I was like I have to hear this again now. And I'm like, this is hilarious. It's makes it even funnier that it's him.
Yeah.
He was also J. Jonah Jameson, which it's like I don't hate that, but it's not as good as old JK.
Which one was that? Like Spider-Man version?
Wayne's cartoon is that's the picture that was going around. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, anyway, let's get into the news. You got a few more than me, so I'll let you take it away.
Okay. I'm gonna save the one that you know is gonna be the big one for like probably the end. So I'll just try to find a different one. Misha Green, she's gonna be writing the Black Canary movie. She's kind of teased like through emojis a bunch of different possible characters. So like people are kind of looking into it, going like, oh, maybe Bronze Tiger, Richard Dragon, Wildcat, Shiva, and of course Green Arrow. And I could 100% see her wanting to put those characters in, but I don't know how keen WB would be on putting those characters in. You know?
I mean, some are more believable than others. I'd love to see Bronze Tiger and Richard Dragon, even Shiva, but who knows?
Yeah. And people, so I don't watch, I didn't watch Sons of Anarchy, but people were saying she worked on Sons of Anarchy. And there's a dude in Sons of Anarchy that everyone wants to be Green Arrow. So they're like, ooh, she's going to put this blonde dude as Green Arrow. I don't know the guy's name.
I mean, I guess I don't really know how old the guy is, but if it's who I think it is, it's like, isn't he a little too old at this point? But who knows?
Yeah. I mean, Ron Perlman. Is that who you're thinking? 'Cause I don't think
Yeah,
that's the one.
yeah. Can you imagine him as Green Arrow?
be pretty entertaining. I'll
It
say
would
that
be.
for at the very least.
It would be. So this is like super minor, and I wish I had more details on this, but I heard it right before the podcast. Apparently, Marvel is announcing something big. I put that in quotes for tomorrow, which will be Tuesday. So if that does indeed happen, we'll talk about it on next week's episode. But um, I heard it from through the grapevine, and they said it was very reliable sources. So we'll see what that means. Could be a new event that won't matter and cost you $200 over the course of a few months, or
Or
who
it could
knows?
be like an Ant-Man Goliath team up book.
It could be. Only Tuesday will tell.
That would be hilarious if it's like that. It's just those two teaming up with I'm trying to think of like another character that grows big and they're fighting Stilt Man.
Well, there was a 3-issue War of Realms tie-in that was Ant-Man, Goliath, and another person that got big. Um, gosh, I can't remember who it is now, but they were fighting frost giants.
Well, they do a cross promotion. They get Apache Chief, and
Okay.
and he joins up.
Yeah, there you go.
So just some fun little rumors and stuff to kind of toss your way. Allegedly, Chris Pine met with Marvel. So is there a character out there that you're like, I'm pining for this guy to play him?
Boo. um, so with like no thought, these three come to mind. Nova, Silver Surfer, and Cyclops.
Cyclops, I can 100% see. I'll say with Nova, I think Nova needs to be someone that looks a little younger when he first comes in. And then with Surfer, he's got way too much charm and personality to be Surfer. Come on. And no one wants to see that luscious hair off of his head.
Dude, what's his name? Bradley whatever is Rocket Raccoon, and he's hella
I know
handsome.
it's stupid. I mean, like he does a good job, but it's like no one wanted that.
What about you?
I mean, I really like the Cyclops. I mean, heck, either of the two Summers that, or Havoc. Yeah, Rachel. Havoc, but not the third Summer that no one really liked. What was his name?
It was Vulcan.
Vulcan, that's it. Or even heck, introduce Corsair and the Starjammers. Do that
That'd
before you
awesome.
even introduce Cyclops. He'd be a great one of those.
I think he'd be a great Corsair. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. And he's short, so I mean, make him Wolverine, even though like that's the only aspect of Wolverine he has going for him is he's short.
That's true.
So another thing that came out, Bane is reportedly coming to the DCEU sooner rather than later. There's some speculation that he's going to be in Batgirl or the Peacemaker series, and some people are even trying to say, oh, the studios wanted more action in the Batman movies, so they're bringing him in as like the action piece, which I think is very far-fetched. And there's a pretty strong rumor that it's going to be played by Dave Bautista. So
Bautista said he didn't want to do any more big action roles like that.
Well, he wanted to be Bane because he's met with DC a few times. I think his big thing is he just didn't want to be shirtless as Drax anymore. So
I don't like that. We had a great Bane. We can use somebody else. There's plenty of other villains. And also I don't really like Bautista that much.
I'm just gonna say this. I wasn't a fan of the first Bane, really. And it's also like, get a Hispanic person to be Bane. I mean, there's that one actor. I mean, he would have been really good in the Nolan verse Bane. I don't think he would be in the DCEU. But Javier Bardem, I think he would have been a fantastic one at the time. Yeah. Probably not now. I haven't seen him. He hasn't been returning my calls. I haven't seen him in forever, so I don't know how he is now. But back in the day, he would have been awesome.
True. Yeah, hopefully that's a false rumor. I don't want Bautista in there.
And then one of the last bits of rumors that I heard, JSA is supposed to be getting a spin-off from Black Adam. So if Black Adam does well, we might be seeing some JSA stuff.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of puts a damper on my theory of them all getting killed, but whatever.
It'd be nice to see that, since we kind of, and I haven't watched any of the new season of Stargirl yet, but that first season they were trying to get the JSA up and going again, so maybe that would garner enough interest to do a proper movie with totally different characters.
Yeah, right.
But it would make sense. It could be all the characters that were there before the Stargirl group.
Yeah. Or it'll just be completely different altogether because Warner Brothers doesn't understand synergy.
Yep. That's true too. Well, hey, speaking of casting stuff on the CW, Poison Ivy is going to join Batwoman season 3. She'll be played by Bridget Regan. I have no idea who that is. I also haven't seen any of Batwoman, and as much as I love Poison Ivy, probably won't see it, with this either. So
yeah, like I've not been hearing the best of things. Like it's still something I feel like I should check out, but I don't even know if it's on Netflix, and that's probably the only streaming service that I could watch it on. And I'm not, no offense to the CW shows, but I'm not gonna pay money to get the new CW streaming service so I can watch it, So wait, it might be on HBO Max, maybe.
Oh, probably.
So I might give it a little check out, But yeah, it's just I've not heard the best of things, but like the costume designs in it look fantastic.
Yeah, that's fair. And this is like another really small thing, but I guess The Rocketeer is getting a revival as a direct to Disney Plus movie. Um, I don't know if it's going to be like a direct sequel to the 90s one, which did you ever watch that?
I've watched it like few times, but I couldn't like put anything, be like, oh yeah, I remember this scene from The Rocketeer.
Right. I'm about the same way. But according to Deadline, the new movie is being developed by David and Jessica Oyelowo. Sorry if I
Oh,
butchered
okay. My
that.
my favorite screenwriters.
And then it'll be written by Ed Ricord. And then David Oyelowo is reportedly in talks to star. And it'll be called The Return of the Rocketeer. So,
Hmm. Could be cool. I mean, if there's a lot of Rocketeer big time fans, which it's like it's weird that there kind of is because like we've seen them at C2E2 doing awesome cosplays that look incredible.
yeah,
It's
it's
just one
true.
of those things where I think it might be an age gap where we're like a little young to be like the Rocketeer heads. So
Yeah. I think the comic came out in like 84 and then the movie was 91.
yeah,
So,
when we were born.
yes.
Okay, so you like video games, right?
I love video games.
Well, Fire Access Games announced Marvel's Midnight Suns game. They're making a game off the Midnight Suns. It's going to be a tactical game featuring Iron Man, the classic Midnight Sun, Captain America, another classic, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Blade, Nico Minoru from the old Runaways, Magic, Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes. I'm betting dollars to donuts they're gonna have the like all of the Ghost Riders to choose from as like separate skins as downloadable content that you pay too much money for because you paid $60 for this game. But that's probably gonna be a thing that they'll have. It's gonna have a total of 13 heroes, so that's all the ones they kind of released. It's going to be on the Switch, PS5, PS4, Windows, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series X in March 2022.
And the Super Nintendo. No, just
Yeah.
kidding.
No, so genuine question really quick that's off subject, but Xbox Series X is there a shorthand for that? Because that's a terrible name.
Nope. That's just what it
Man.
is.
Because it's like with the Xbox One, everyone was called the Xbone, so that that worked well. But like this is just like, come on, guys, what are you
I don't
doing?
know. Like if you're a part of the industry at all or like follow it, if you say Series X, most people know what you're
Oh,
talking
okay.
about. But so isn't like Blade the only Midnight Sun out of that whole lineup?
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, my laptop came unplugged, so I might die in a little sick, so I gotta plug it back in. But yeah, I mean, there's not much Midnight Sunish going on, but I think they're just trying to give like the main characters up front, like the characters that people know, some actual face time. So
Right.
they're
I
wanting
mean,
it to get hyped that way.
yeah. Well, what I saw of it was cool. And like, I love Magic and, Blade's awesome. Nico's always looked cool to me. I've never really read anything. So it's like, if the gameplay's there, then it could be pretty cool.
It looked, I mean, like from the little bit I saw, I didn't watch that much of it, but it looked very much like the X-Men Legends game and um, Ultimate Alliance and stuff. Was that
Yep.
pretty accurate?
Yeah. And I love Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2.
Yeah, you didn't want to toss in number 3.
No, I was all about buying it, and then I heard that it was trash. So
Yeah, like I was like, I'm gonna be the good uncle. I'm buying this for my nephew, and I was, I got him some other stuff too, but I got him that, and he was just like, this is bad. I'm like, oh,
it's
well,
bad
I'm glad.
when a child isn't into something like that.
Yeah, it's like me and my dad tried to play it, and we just got tired of it, like at the first level.
All right,
Oh,
so we're getting a King Shark 6-issue miniseries. That's going to be by Tim Seeley and art by Scott Collins. It's actually going to be out September 29th. This one slipped past us somehow, but the premise is it's going to be like a tournament of animal spirits hosted by King Shark's dad, who is the god of sharks. So, I mean, that could be pretty awesome.
It could be a lot of fun, and I think it will be. Tim Seeley does fun well, like kind of where, in my opinion, he gets lost is when it gets a little bit more serious and, you know, I guess like darker and stuff. But like the fun stuff, as I'm going to talk about, he does really, really well. It turns out, so I think should be good.
Yeah.
All right, and then my last bit of news before the big news. This is just something really stupid that I saw on Twitter the other day. There's going to be a possible Shang-Chi boycott due to outrage based on an old Awkwafina interview where she said she won't do Asian roles where the person that wrote them is going to make her have an accent or whatever, because she's like, I don't want to do that. That's kind of weird. But then people are like, well, when you do your character, you do a fake black accent, and we think that's offensive. And so, like, we're not going to support this movie because of it. And it's like, oh, I don't know about this, guys. This is just, it's like you guys are just trying to be mad about stuff, I think.
Also, I've never heard the term black scent before.
That's the actual phrase they were using. I wasn't making that one up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like, who cares?
Yeah.
Someone's always got to be mad about something. Just watch the movie or don't. Like, who cares? No one on Twitter cares.
I will say, just on a good side, this happened like a while back, like right when the trailer first happened. The actor that plays Shang-Chi in it, someone pulled up an old tweet of his from like, I think when the Avengers came out, and he was like, okay, Marvel, now I think it's time for a Shang-Chi movie, don't you guys? And, and he's like, and I'm here for it. Like, you know, basically saying like cast him. And then it's like, I'm like, this is how you be creeping on people's tweets. You do it this way. This is a lot more fun.
Oh man. Well, I'm still gonna see it.
Same here.
All right, my last thing. So James Tynan was talking about some like his plans, I guess through Substack is where all this came out. And he was going to do a Death of the Joker for Batman number 100. And I'll find the little blurb that he was discussing all this in. So he said that Joker was going to get his hands on the Wayne fortune and all of Batman's vehicles and gadgets and unleash them on Gotham City, just as like everything Batman ever used to save the city was now going to destroy it. And he also wanted Joker to give Batman like a scar of some kind, like on his face, in a way that would mean he couldn't wear the existing cowl again, because people would obviously know that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Like, oh man, that sounds actually super interesting. I don't know if it would age super well, but it's a neat idea. But anyway, he wanted to do all that, and he mentioned like a nod to Batman Return of the Joker, where the Joker like stabs Bruce's knee and stuff like that. But anyway, that's something that could have happened.
Yeah, it sounds kind of interesting, but it also to me screams Black Label. Like all that stuff is like the type of thing that DC would be like, whoa, no thank you. You know?
Yeah.
But and my main problem with it though is, you know, for a fact, had he done that, Punchline would be the new Joker.
Yeah, for sure.
And that would have been terrible. That would have been so bad.
Yeah, I agree. She's already insufferable, and she's really not even in that much. But
yeah, and it's not even like the good type of villain where you love to hate him. It's just kind of like, no, I mean, it's just you're too tough. Like they made you too strong to make you enjoyable.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got to give them props for like coming up with new ideas. Like I get plenty of customers that are like, I don't want to read this Joker book. We have so much Joker and it's always, kind of the same. I'm like, oh, fair enough. But this certainly wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Okay, so my last bit of news, it's they've announced who's going to be taking over Batman after Tynan. And it's Joshua Williamson, one of our guesses, because he's writing basically 90% of DC Comics right now. He's going to be taking over in December with issue 118. Basically, he said Batman leaves Gotham. The new story is called Abyss with art by Jorge Molina. The new villain is going to be called Abyss. They're going to appear in issue 119. So make sure you buy 50 copies from, comic headquarters. So he, like you can make sure you have a bunch so you can resell them. It looks cool. Like, I guess he's making sure everything keeps, kind of like the way he made it sound via his tweet that he did talk to Tynan, and then he also talked to the other Bat book writers. So they're like, he's not just being like, well, I'm coming in and doing my own thing, like how a lot of times it seems like writers do. This is like, oh, I'm still working towards this, but with my own ideas, which is the way to do it. I like that a lot. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. Abyss looks pretty awesome. Like some weird cyber demon thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty interested in it. And then he also mentioned that he has a bunch more announcements coming. He's just not allowed to say what they are yet. So it's like, what could they be? Is he going to just get Jeff Johns' old job? Like, what's happening?
He's going to say, all right, guys, I really am writing all of DC's titles.
Yes. There we go.
Went to Substack. It's all me.
Yeah. They're only paying me for like 2 books, so most of this is pro bono because Warner Brothers is terrible.
Right. That is exciting, man. I mean, I think we both agreed, like, if we wanted anybody to take over, it was going to be Williamson. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does. I don't like Batman leaving Gotham, really, but I mean, it seems like he's leaving to come back to do the future state nonsense. So it is what it is. But I'm excited to see his take.
You think that he'll run into any like Batman Inc. characters?
I mean, okay. So have you been reading Tom Taylor's Batman book where he's in London?
No.
Okay, because I was gonna see like if he's not running into any in that, I doubt Williamson's going to have them run into any. I think DC is kind of like, let's never bring these characters up again.
Right. Well, I flipped through every issue of that, and I was like, oh, it's not the same Knight and Squire. And it's like, they're going to Paris. I'm like, cool. They're going to see Night Runner or whatever his name is. Nope. I'm just like, okay. Missed opportunities.
I figured he'd be in it for sure since they were pushing for him to get his own book.
Right. Oh, well. Wasn't meant to be.
Guess not.
All right. Well, I think that's all the news, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So we'll take our ad break and we'll be back to talk some comics. We'll be right back. Casey, got a story for us, dude?
Not really. I mean, like, all that's really happened to me is I messed my finger up pretty good, but other than that.
Well, how'd you do that?
Well, I'm stupid. I was cutting chicken and cutting the chicken, and I, put water on it, and like it cut it pretty deep, or like just kind of like took the top off, and then later that day I'm putting tin, or it might have been the next day this week I've been putting tin on a shed, or last week I mean, and it, like, I had a reciprocating saw. You know how those like move back and forth, and there's like the spot where the thing actually goes in, like the saw goes in. So like there's like it's just a hard piece of metal that moves back and forth. Then, well, I was holding the saw. I wasn't paying attention where my hand was, and so like my fingers, I've had Neosporin on it and bandaged up, and I had it in my glove. And I had the thing held the thing that holds the blade was right here. I pulled the trigger and it hit my finger about 10 times, and like I cussed a bunch, and like my finger where it had kind of healed had just bursted, and then like the blood there, and then there's blood in the middle, and I was like, this is terrible. I cussed a lot of the same word over and over again, and so now I just had this like nasty blood blister on my finger, and it's to the point now where it's like dried up enough that I know I can dig it out. I'm just fighting the urge to do that.
Well, don't send me any pictures, please.
Oh no, I sent one because like Bree was, when I first cut it, she wanted to see, like we were on cam together and we were talking, and I was like, you want to see it? She's like, yeah. So I showed it to her, but she couldn't make out what it was. So when it happened this second time, I showed her, and then she's like, that's disgusting. Why did you do that? I'm like, I thought you wanted to see it.
Gosh, women, am I right, fellas? Ladies?
It's like, come on. Why am I not supposed to show you my bloody stump of a finger? It's not that bad. But
well, I'm glad that you didn't lose any fingers.
yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna happen one day, but still got them all.
All right, folks. Thank you for listening to the ad. Or if you want to hear about how Casey made a bloody mess of his finger,
How I lost my left pointer.
it's, oh gosh, you can see it on camera. It's disgusting.
It's just bone. Like the doctors are like, maybe the skin will come back.
Anyway, that's over on the old YouTube channel, which is just Two Worlds Podcast on YouTube. You can check it out there. But anyways, we'll get into the comics that we read this week. And Casey, why don't you tell me which ones you read?
All right. So I read Batman Reptilian, book 3, Batman Superman issue 21, Wolverine 15, Harley Quinn number 6, Marvel Voices Identity number 1, Chew number 7, Superman versus Lobo book 1, since it's a black label. They don't do issues, they do books. Thor number 16, Batman Detective Comics 1042, Robin number 5, Action Comics 1034, and Superman Son of Kal-El number 2.
That was quite a stack.
Yeah, I stayed here this weekend, so got through my stuff a lot better than normal.
Okay, for me, I read Seven Swords number 3, Mr. Miracle, the Source of Freedom number 4, Runes number 2, Icon and Rocket number 2, Wonder Woman 778, Action Comics 1034, Detective Comics 1042, Robin number 5, and Thor 16.
Nice. So what, you didn't do the old Superman?
The Sun one?
Yeah.
No, I don't know if I sold out or just missed it, but
I gotcha.
you said that and I was like, well, crap.
Yeah, that was in my mine and Jake pile, so I had to move that now.
I know, my bad, dude.
It's okay, man.
I do want to read it though, unless you said it was garbage.
Well, I mean, you liked the first issue and I wasn't super hot on it, so you may still like this one.
Oh, so you weren't super hot on it.
No spoilers. So yeah, I'm gonna start with Batman Reptilian. So this is by Garth Ennis and with Liam Sharp, and you know, it's fun. We have Joker stuff. Joker's convinced that Batman is the one that's been killing people, and you have Batman just kind of like trying to figure out who it could be, and we get some crazy art. Like the main downside to this book, I mean, is like I love Liam Sharp's art. I think it's fantastic, but it's so dark at times that I wish like I was reading it on my phone so I could like brighten it up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's actually a really enjoyable book. There's nothing really bad to say about it. Like these are different versions of the characters that we've read before, and it's like it feels fresh, which you don't usually get with, you know, Joker and Batman, and there's some Killer Croc stuff going on. And I love the way Garth writes Alfred. That's like one of my favorite parts in the series so far. He's been just killing it with him. So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. It's very solid.
Well, I'm glad. I just couldn't do it, man. Those first two issues, the art was cool, but the story just wasn't there for me.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I'm hoping like I don't know how long this series is. I want to say it's like 6 issues, but it's like they're just now getting the Killer Croc stuff. So let's see how this goes.
Right. Okay, I will do Seven Swords, number 3. This was written by Evan Doherty and art by Federico Delosio. Dude, like my biggest beef with the last 2 issues is just like everyone's just like banging people, you know? and
Yeah,
and they start off like the first 2 pages with them talking about one of them banging someone that they shouldn't have and how they're gonna like chop off their manhood. And it's supposed to be funny, but it's just not at this point because it's like, dude, you're running this into the ground. We get it. They're handsome swashbucklers, but like, can we just get to the story? It's issue 3. Uh so yeah, I don't know. This issue is fine. Like some stuff finally starts to happen at the end, and like all 7 swords have been assembled. Um, but I think this is only going to be like 2 more issues, and it's like just now everyone is formed up and they're gonna go do the task. So it's like, okay, well, I hope a lot happens in these next 2.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm gonna give it like a 5 out of 10. It's the next one's got to be good, or this is getting dropped.
I got you, man. By the way, we didn't mention this because I forgot. The Hour Man comic book extravaganza is going on right now, so we have an
Yep.
hour to talk about our stuff.
I'll put the timer at 50 minutes. We'll give ourselves that much time.
Okay, so next up for me is Batman Superman, and this is by Jean Lewin Yang with a bunch of different artists. I have to make sure I find it. I think it's on the last page. And I lied. It wasn't. There we go. Okay, and so we have Ivan Rice on. No, it's just Ivan Rice. Never mind. Was a bunch of names on the pencils, and this is really good. Like the only downside to this issue and a series as a whole is like it ends this arc where we have the different Batmans and different Supermen, and or different Superman and El Diablo and oh, what's her name? The Adam Strange's love interest lady. I'm blanking on her name now.
Oh, it's like Alana or something.
Yeah, her. And like, I want to read more with those characters. Gene made them very interesting, very cool, very fun. And it's like, we don't get them anymore.
You could always read Tom King's Strange Adventures.
Well, first off, like, I'm talking about just these versions of these characters. Like, the El Diablo and Alana are now like love interests to each other, even though they're from different universes, which it's like she's used to long distance, so that's fine. And Superman, Batman are no longer connected in their thing anymore. And but yeah, it's just really good. I really liked it. And it kind of ends with a dark side, getting some of the film that their stuff was on. But yeah, this has been so much fun. Jean Lewin Yang is probably top 5. I'm not gonna say where he's at in the top 5, but he's top 5 writers right now in comics, in my opinion. He's so good. So I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10.
Nice. High praise, as always, for Gene. Okay, Mr. Miracle, Source of Freedom, number 4. This is written by Brandon Easton and art by Fico Ossio. And I'm going to mention Rico Renzi as the colorist too, because the colors are awesome on this. As shown on just the first page alone.
I wish I could see him.
But you can't?
No, I'm colorblind.
Oh, okay. Thought something was up with my camera.
No.
Anyway. So the end of the last issue, Shiloh gets sucked into a boom tube, and the start of this issue, he comes out of it, and Oberon is there, the old vertically challenged friend of Scott Free. And Oberon's like, "Hi, I'm Oberon, friend and confidant of Mr. Miracle." All three of them. Which I was like, huh, okay, they're doing some multiverse stuff, which in my opinion is even better because you can kind of do whatever you want with that and it doesn't necessarily mess up hashtag my Mr. Miracle. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
uh, that's a joke. But anyway, it was cool. Oberon um, plays like this old film from Shiloh's mentor, whose name I'm blanking on for some reason, Thaddeus Brown. And that we get like his origin story and how he found a mother box and had to fight some clan members and all that good stuff back in the day. So blah blah blah. Turns out Thaddeus is actually Shiloh's grandfather, um, which I think was written well enough and it worked for the story. So Thaddeus gives him some more info on how to like be a better Mr. Miracle and stuff like that, which was really cool. And then at the end, there's like a little alarm thing that goes off in Oberon's hideout. And he's like, oh, we've got bigger problems. And Shiloh's like, oh, where at? And Oberon says, New Genesis. And then on the last page, we see none other than the war dog himself. And I'm very, very excited to see Orion in the next issue and how he's going to play into the story. Thing is like we're on issue 4 of 6, and we still have Scott and Barta's kid that's trying to kill Mr. Miracle. I don't know if he's going to need help from Orion to do that, but Orion's like off fighting some other things on this last page. So I don't know. Should be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. I like the art. They've built this new like lore around these characters, and I'm here for it. Oberon was a little like harsh at times to where he wasn't always likable, but otherwise I think everything was very well written. So I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Nice, man. I'm glad you're liking the new Mr. Miracle.
You too.
Hashtag it's gonna be your Mr. Miracle.
I sure didn't think I was gonna. That's for sure.
Okay, so next up for me is Wolverine issue 15, and this is by Benjamin Percy with Adam Kubert on the art. Art's fantastic. You got Wolverine basically learning a bunch of stuff about this guy that he's trying to kill. That's his name's Solom from Sever Blackmore is telling him all about him. Basically, how he was trained, and Solom's like his skin's adamantium, and so Wolverine and him are he's like, oh, this one guy's like, I like shiny things. That's why I became friends with him, and now he wants to kill him because he got robbed by him and stuff. And then it turns out this Solom stole something of Wolverine's, and so Wolverine's he's gonna try to take care of that, try to right that wrong. And there's someone that's screwing around on Krakoa. I don't want to get too much into it, but it's really cool. And I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I just don't want to spoil anything because I think people should be reading it.
All right. So still no mention of anything that was happening when I was reading it.
No, it's really weird. Like, it's just this new arc started, and they're like, this is what we're focused on.
I mean, I'm glad that it's good when they switch arcs, but that's bad storytelling. Just gonna say that.
I mean, maybe they'll just wait until October. They're gonna be like, oh, this is spooky season, so now we're gonna have them fight some vampires and some werewolves and some, kids dressed as zombies.
That should be said, but whatever. I'm done complaining about it. Any hoozle. Next, I'm going to talk about Runes number 2. This is written by Ivan. Lasitignola. and art by Francesco Iaquinta, and then translated by Alessia Terugi. So sorry about all that. um, this issue was confusing. I'm not sure if there's like some translation stuff going on where it makes it difficult to understand sometimes, but you get like flashbacks and a new character that's supposed to be like another bad guy. Uh, and then towards the end, we're supposed to get more of that witch lady that was raising the dead. So hopefully the next issue just jumps right into that, because I don't know, it was just hard to follow along. I'm gonna give it like a 6. I like the art and I still like the world building and whatnot. It's just like not much really happened except that like, hey, here's the jerk of a bad guy. So
If I ever have kids, I want to name one of them the Dead so I can raise it.
that was terrible.
Yeah, I know. All right. So next is Harley Quinn and issue 6. And so I was a little disappointed because I really kind of got this just because I knew Catwoman was going to be in it. And I was like, Riley Rossmo doing with Catwoman art, it's going to be cool. And then it's a different artist. And I was a little let down. The cover is great, but it's by Stephanie Phillips with Laura Braga on the art. And it's a perfectly fine art. Like, as you can tell, like it looks great. I don't really care much for Harley's the way they kind of like gave her makeup. I didn't really care for that, but I don't know. You just had them kind of like reluctantly teaming up, and Harley's the comedy, and Catwoman's the straight man. I will say this part was ridiculous to me because it's like, what's Catwoman's forearm strength that she can have this guy tied up and just holding it from her whip. And this he is not a skinny guy. Like, he is not a Jake size person. He's like at least 300 pounds. So it's like, she's just, is he going to fall to his death? It's like, her wrist strength has to, like if we were like Death Battle right now, she's like, and her wrist strength, that would take the force of 10 quintillion tons to be able to do this. Because the power from, it. So I just laughed at that. But no, I mean, you get some stuff going on with Scarecrow, like kind of building up to the next thing, and Hugo Strange, the stuff that's still going on with Harley. It's perfectly fine. Like, I really just came for Riley Rossmo's art, and I didn't get it. So, like, I wasn't super hot on it, but yeah, it's perfectly fine. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I'm not going to come back for it, but I wouldn't say it's terrible.
Okay. Next for me is Icon and Rocket number 2. And this, oh gosh, come on, is written by Reginald Hudland and art by Doug Braithwaite. This issue is pretty cool. Basically, like the news and the police who don't do anything to stop crime in this part of their city is now angry and trying to stop Icon and Rocket from being vigilantes because they're trying to stop crime from happening in this part of the city.
Logic.
Which, I mean, but that's kind of how things are in real life, right? So
yeah, are they in the South Side of Chicago? Is that what's going on?
But anyway, we get to see Rocket, beat up like an abusive husband, and just we see a couple little snippets of them just helping the people, which is fun. And Icon does some pretty cool like superhuman-y things that I don't want to spoil, but then we get like some background info on Icon when he kind of like first came to Earth, and it was in the like slavery times and not great south of the states. But we see him get Well, it looks like he gets killed, like stabbed through the chest with like a jagged wood plank by who I'm guessing is going to be the bad guy. And the bad guy thought that he killed him back then, but now that Icon and Rocket are like making themselves more public with their heroics, it's like, oh, I thought he was dead. Looks like I need to make sure he stays dead this time. And that's like the to be continued. So it was pretty cool. I like seeing them help the people. I like seeing some background info on Icon and the new, or well, the bad guy looks like he's going to be pretty menacing. So, yeah, I liked it. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Nice, man. So, like so did he when he got killed but not killed? Did he just kind of go in like, like the Superman healing coma where he just was asleep for a while and he woke back up and he was, slavery was over, or how'd that work?
I think he see, I don't know because we haven't really been told, but from my understanding, it was just like he's stuck here on Earth. He realizes, oh, these humans are kind of terrible. I'm just gonna be a hermit and not get involved with anything, just keep to myself and survive. So
I gotcha.
he didn't like he's a good person, so he doesn't want to like kill anybody out of revenge, but he doesn't want to get involved either.
I gotcha.
But
Okay.
now he's coming back out of it, and that's fun to see.
Yeah. All right. So next up is Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 2 by Tom Taylor with where's this dude's name? With John Timms on the art. So basically, John is gonna go to school, his new name, but he has to get his fake identity because he's got a bad wig on, and his name's what is it? Something stupid. Finn Connors, which is like just such a terrible, funny name to me. But he drives off in his 2003 Cord Motors Jeep, which made me happy. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so he's signing. He's being a normal guy, but this is the wrong day to be a normal guy because a guy brought his machine gun to school and he's gonna shoot up the place. So he has to, stop it. And now his secret identity is gone. Everyone's like, "Oh, hey, we want to be your friend." But it's like, why are you trying to have a secret identity and you're wearing your clothes underneath just a zip up hoodie? Don't really get that one, but then he's on the moon all upset with his angst, and his dad comes, his dad's Superman, just so you know, comes to talk to him, and he's just like, "This is stupid that you don't do more." And he's like, "Well, I'm not really from here, so I don't really feel like I should be, doing everything." And he's like, "That's stupid, Dad." And then there's these like refugees trying to come from another country that no one wants them though. Like they're trying to come to Metropolis. No one's like, "Oh, we can't pretend that we're gonna help save them." So he helps save them, but then it's like, it turns out the guy that they're the king of the place or the emperor of the place that they're leaving, he's a bad guy and he's not gonna be happy about this. So I don't know. It wasn't very good to me. I'm gonna give it one more issue. It's like I really like it when people can mix their whatever their political beliefs are in a comic. But they have. I'm going to talk about this with Superman versus Lobo. They do it well. This one, it's just like, oh, you're spoon feeding us exactly what you think. You're not even trying any subtlety at all. Oh, okay. So it
Like
doesn't. Yeah, it's just like it just doesn't work. And even the parts where Tom normally excels at, where it's like the one-on-one conversations where they're talking about, like when Superman is talking to John, that should have really worked because that's what he's good at. But John's just full of angst and it's not good. So I just wasn't too interested in it. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 because it's just ugh, not my cup of tea. But like I said, one more issue.
Right. Okay. Well, then next I will get into Wonder Woman 778. It's written by Michael Conrad and Becky Cloonan and art by Travis Moore. And this is a pretty fun issue. They start out in the Phantom Zone, and by they I mean Wonder Woman and Sigurd and Ratatosk, and this weird like mummy fire guy is like, Janice told me that I could be a part of her future if I took you out. But then I guess the like god of the Phantom Zone, or whoever he is, he has a lot of power in the Phantom Zone. It's like, this is my domain, and I don't like that Janice came in here telling people how they could run stuff. So you're free to go, you three, and I'll take care of old mummy flame skull here. And then they jump through a portal and they wind up in the 5th dimension where they run into Batmite. And how do you say his name, Casey? The Superman villain from this area.
Mix-a-Plick. But there was a whole Twitter thing while you're talking. I'm gonna try to find where they were. I think it was Kevin McGuire was talking about it. So I'll try to find this because it was pretty. It's pertinent to this situation.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I always said Mixelplick. So however you say it doesn't matter. This guy's here too. And there's like a lot of cool throwbacks to the animated series, as you can tell from those pages, which is really fun. But anyway, they're just like hopping through different dimensions here. So they also go through Gem World, which is pretty neat, and like a prehistoric spot. And we think that Sigurd potentially gets trapped there in the prehistoric dimension. So who knows? Guess we'll find out eventually. And then Wonder Woman basically jumps through the portal and we don't see him come through. And then wherever she ends up, everything's all white. And Janice kind of tosses down Dead Man. And Diana's like, Dead Man, no. And Janice is like, Dead Man indeed. And then she has like a little monologue. And then that's the end. It says the next feature comes to the present. So is Dead Man really dead?
Yes.
I don't know.
He 100% is.
But is he dead?
I mean, it's comic books, so it's hard to say. Okay, so I didn't find it in time, but I'll try to find it sooner or later, and I'll at the very least retweet it because I remember it being pretty funny.
Right on.
Okay,
anyway, can I give my final score, Casey, or do you just want to cut in?
I mean, you can tweet it, and then I'll retweet it. How about that?
I like this one a lot better than the last issue. It was fun to see them jump through all the different dimensions and to see Batmite, and the art was really cool. So it's back up to par. I will give it an 8 out of 10. Nice.
Okay, so Superman versus Lobo, and this is by Tim Seeley and Sarah Beatty, and Mirka Andolfo on the art. So basically starts off with this like entity being born in this universe, but it was by itself, and it's like this all-powerful entity, so it decides to go to a different universe, and then it kind of comes to the normal, whatever universe this would be. It's not the main universe, but you know what I mean, like this universe, this comic's main universe. And like Clark wants to write this story, but it's too biased, so Perry's like, you can't do that, you have to be unbiased when you write, because if you're trying to be too far one way, you're going to have people that just go the opposite no matter what, because contrarians and all that, and, so Clark's very upset about it. And then there's some people needing help on the moon, or in a space station, so he goes and helps them. And then it cuts to where Lobo's at on this planet, and he's doing like this, like everything starts kind of messing up, and then that alien that was at the beginning, that's all powerful god thing, is there. And so Lobo's like mad because it blew off his arm and is messing up his vacation, so he's fighting it. Then when Superman was in that space station, he finds out, oh, there's this thing, they can make wormholes, I'll go help fight them, save the day. And he talks to the thing, helps it out, and then Lobo shoves a sign up its butt to get it to, scare it off, and then the thing teleports away. So Lobo's like, I'm the hero, and Superman doesn't like him. They kind of argue back and forth, and it makes Lobo mad. So Lobo's like, I'm gonna ruin his life. And so then Superman's like saving people and doing Superman things, but like people now, they've started like this hashtag that's like, no thanks, Superman. And this is what I'm talking about with the politics. So people are now like, this woman says Superman didn't bother to ask her about her fear of heights when he flew her away from a fire. This one says Superman is powered by radioactivity and making people sterile. And what the heck is an anti-saver? Which I think is hilarious. Because it's so funny to me that they're, they're working that into it. And it's like, if this was in a different book, it just would have been like, no, we're going to use the actual anti-vaxxers instead. Just make it as not subtle as possible. But this one, it just, it's using humor, and it's just more entertaining to me. And so turns out Lobo is making these robots that do this because Lobo, as we've talked about, is a super genius. So he's doing all that stuff. And then they end up fighting. Toyman has, is there, and he makes this virus, and it causes all sorts of ruckus. But Superman kind of saves the day, and so does, and then that one godlike entity shows back up, and he's like, hey, since you guys helped me, I want to help you. I'm bringing back both of your guys' dead worlds, and I'm sending you there. And that's how it ends. But he sent Lobo to Krypton and Superman to, Zaria or whatever, Lobo, and that's how it ends. I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The only thing that I hated, and this has nothing to do with the writing or the art, but what am I supposed to do with this? It's gigantic. Like, DC, what are you thinking?
Hey, that is prestige format Black Label comics right there, Casey.
Okay, where am I going to put it?
In a magazine box that you can buy at your local comic shop.
So, Comic Headquarters on Telegraph Road would have this?
That's the one. For real,
but
I
no.
hate it too. It's even worse to have these things at a store where you just have magazine boxes in your bins. I hate this format.
Yeah. And I don't know. I thought it was stupid with Question, but it was I guess it was more fine because it was more of a serious book, but with this being more of a funny book, I'm like, we don't need the prestige format as it's called, it turns out. It's just stupid, but whatever. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I liked it. I would recommend it to people.
Right on. Okay, I've got Action Detective Robin and Thor left, and also we're just past the halfway point.
Okay, so I'll talk about Marvel Voices Identity #1. So first off, no Nico Minora, which I think is some BS. She deserved a little bit, but whatever. So this first one is called What Is versus What If, and this is by Jean Luen Yang with Marcus Toe, and Sunny Gao is the colors, and it's really good. Not surprising anybody. And so basically Shane climbs this spot to get this old weapon that his dad had. He wants to just get rid of it. So these monks are like, okay, but you have to actually basically fight the weapon. And so it kind of shows what could have been with Shang and what is base that. So he's fighting, himself that was trained by his father his whole life that never would have gone against him. And he's kind of losing, but then he's he does kind of the classic thing that would happen in anything where the person's trained a while, be like, oh, I learned the fists of the monkey and that type of stuff. But it was instead he's he goes, you probably do have a better hold of the way of the deadly hand, but I've learned too. He's like, what? From friends, it's Spider-Man, allies, Captain America, teammates, Black Panther, even my own siblings. And it's his sister from the comic. And then he beats the other version of him. and he walks away. Like, very short, but it was very good. The next one is it's called That One Thing. It's Jubilee centric, and it's Christina Strain with Jason Liu on the art. And it's good. I mean, it's just Jubilee remembering her like at her parents' grave and just remembering them. And then this other character, like, I don't know who it is. I think it looks like Chamber, but I don't know. Don't know if he and Jubilee have a thing. Show up with a kid, and I'll show you. See if you recognize this person.
Is it Swordmaster?
I mean, I don't know. Does Swordmaster cover his mouth like that?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, she calls him, I think Jono, or unless that's her little kid that's with him. But yeah, I mean, that story was fine. It's like, if you're a Jubilee fan, I would be like, yeah, you have to read this, because like, how often does she get a spotlight? Probably not very.
Right.
And then the next is Jimmy Woo, 1959, by Greg Pak and Chris Lee. And I have no idea who Jimmy Woo is.
He was in WandaVision. He was the Asian gentleman, the agent.
Oh, I see. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, why is he in 1959?
I have no idea.
Like, I didn't know he was even in the comics.
I don't know. People are making a pretty big push for him to be something big.
Well, yeah, because Randall Park is the actor's name. He is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has there's not an unlikable thing about him. So like, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this story was fun. Like, Greg Pak is a good writer. Like, there's nothing bad about, and the art's good. It's just like couple pages long though, and you're just like, okay, it's done. Again, that's kind of like the main complaint about all these stories. It's like, oh, okay, on to the next one. Like, you don't get, like, with the DC ones when they do this, it's like, oh, it goes a lot longer, but this one doesn't quite. And then the next one, it's called Seeing Red, and this is by Sabir Pirzada with Michelle Ahmed on the art, and it's a Ms. Marvel story with this other dude that I don't know who he is, but seems like they're a little bit romantically connected. Maybe not, because I don't know anything about Ms. Marvel, but she's in, I think it's Pakistan, and he kind of says some stuff, puts his foot in his mouth, and then she gets mad and kind of goes back to where her family's staying, and she's just like, she kind of feels like because like, since she's visiting Pakistan and she's an American, like basically an American Muslim, like American Pakistan. I don't know the correct term, but an American person that's visiting, but she's still like, she just doesn't feel at home there. Like, everyone's looking at her knowing that she doesn't really belong there. It's kind of weird. It's good. Like, you feel bad for her. It's written well that way, but it's still like 3 pages. So like, that's how all these stories are. They didn't give them enough room to write, in my opinion. And then next is Personal Heroes, and this is by Alyssa Wong with Whilce Portacio on the art. You have this lady from Agents of Atlas, who I don't know, and she teams up with Bishop, which is pretty sweet, because I do know who Bishop is. And the last time I saw him, he was trying to kill little baby Hope in a Cable comic. So it's nice to see him be a good guy again. And then like, they team up, and like, she fangirls over Bishop, and then Bishop's like, oh, he kind of fanboys over her, because he's like, oh, I know who you are. Like, you're like the coolest in my future, and blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, oh, wow. Then afterwards, like, hey, you want to come back? Because like, she was grocery shopping whenever the bad guys showed up. So she's like, you want to come back and eat some of the food that we're going to make? And he's like, oh, I'd love to. And so it was another fun, just little story. Then you got Singular/Plural, and this is by Jeremy Holt with Alta Fermancia on the art. And then it's a girl, I think they said she was from, her name's Silhouette, and I think she was on the Champions, or no, it was the New Warriors. And so she's trying to go out on dates, and none of them are good. But like one thing that I just have so much trouble believing, because she's disabled, and the first person's talking, she just leaves him like while he's on the date. The second dude's talking, he's like, so Monica, about your handicap, when it comes to intimacy, how does it work down there? And then later it shows him asleep and her just leaving. Like, that line worked for you, girl? Come on. Get some self-respect. Don't be like, oh, I'll show you how it will work. But okay, so yeah, like the guy, her next date after, she teleports out on the guy, it's this dude who's on his phone the whole time. And so she's like, she just kind of like, oh, that's weird. But then the next day she changes her name from Silhouette to, I think is the name, it was the same name that she had with the last date. So it would have been Janelle. So she changes it to that. And she's at the park. This little kid runs up to her, like because her ball hits her or something. And she's like, hey, it turns out it's the kid for the guy that was, on his phone. It turns out, oh, he's not a jerk that's on his phone. He, shares his kid with his, baby mama, and they're like, the baby mama couldn't have her, and they're trying to like come up with a sitter. And so then, oh, they like each other. They're going to go out on another date, and it's going to be better this time. That's how it ends. Perfectly fine issue. Like, it probably would have been a lot more fun if I knew this character, but, I didn't have any problems with it. And this is like probably my least favorite. It's called Traditional Pink Sushi, and this is written by Ken Nimura, and they do the art and the letters also. And my main problem with it is it's this type of style, and that's just not for. It's just not for me, Like if you like that, what would you call it? Because you are smarter than me, you would know what you'd call that type of style.
Like chibi? You
think that'd be?
Well, maybe not fully. I don't know. Cartoon Network.
But so yeah, it's like her and Silver, this girl and Silver Samurai are making sushi together, and he wants it traditional, but they live on Krakoa, so it's like trying to get the traditional stuff is not going to happen. So she makes it with ketchup, a bunch of other stuff. He's like, oh, you can't make it with ketchup. And then she's like, look, you have weird, like, we live on this living island. We have weird blue space fish. We have like leaves because we don't have seaweed. Like, we're making do with what we have. So you're just going to have to like say this is good enough for the tradition. And like he eats it and he actually likes it. And then, he was remembering back to when he was a kid, and now this is their tradition. It's, like I said, perfectly fine, just not my cup of tea. And then New York State of Mind by Marine Gu with...
How many pages is this book?
I mean, it's not that big. It's like, it's smaller than when DC did it, because they're just copying off of that. So it's smaller than that, but it's still like a heftier size one. And this is Marine Gu with Lin Yoshi on the art, and this says our girl Silk and Amadeus Cholk. I know that's not his name, but that's what I want to call him, because he's got a new name. It's not Hulk anymore, and like they say it briefly, but I'm like, I don't know if that's the right.
Pretty sure it's Beefcake.
That's just what we call him. It's Brawn.
I was close enough.
Yeah. So yeah, like I don't like that name, but they fight Scarecrow, which is pretty interesting. He calls them the B team, and it's like, okay, Scarecrow, they are much lower than B. Let's be honest. Like, I love Silk, and like I like Amadeus Cholk, but they would not be B. It'd be like C or D if you're going by notoriety.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they fight Scarecrow, they win, and then they're like it kind of ends with like, man, people still suck. Like that's basically the like the whole thing. And so yeah, I mean I liked it. It's just everything was too short. Each of these, like some of them could have been cut a little bit, or this just could have been a bigger book. But it wasn't bad. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
And then lastly, it's Chew. So
I just want to point out that we have 4 books together and we are down to 15 minutes on the Hour Man Hour.
Okay. So with Chew, it's really good. You have them pull off a heist, and then yeah, it's just a really enjoyable book. You should be reading it if you like, anything that like the last Chew. It's by John Layman and Dan Boltwood. The art in it's still really, really good. And it's a big old heist book. If you like heists and you like food-based powers, read it. This next issue is going to have time travel in it. It's going to be really good. 9 out of 10.
A lot of things. All right. Let's go action detective Robin Thor.
All right. We could not have been more different this time.
I mean, we can switch it up.
No, let's just do action first. Okay. I'll let you go since I've been talking.
Okay, we've got Action Comics number 1034. This is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson and art by Christian Deuce. All right, your initial thoughts, my friend.
The art is fantastic. Philip Kennedy Johnson, he does a great job writing Superman. But yeah, I mean that's about all. Like so far, this premise is kind of like so, and I didn't like the part with Aquaman where it's just like this will change stuff, and then they don't touch on what happened when he was underwater.
I agree, but my favorite part is in that scene where he says, "I thought it would be Bruce."
Yeah.
And he's like, "There's nothing I can do to stop you." And I'm like, "Oh man, that's pretty awesome."
Yeah. It was really like I said, I like this issue a lot. Same problem though, is like I did not read the Midnighter one. I don't care about it. I want something better than Midnighter in the back of this.
Yeah. And it's back to it's just future. It's more future state stuff, which we didn't care for. So I'm not going to read it now. But otherwise, I thought it was perfectly fine. Going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Giving it a 7 also. Midnighter stuff just lowers the rating for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so Batman Detective Comics by Tamaki with whoever does the art. Where is it at? Victor Bogdanovich on the art. And I'm glad it says conclusion because I've been so tired of this story. I have a feeling, we're probably going to still see some of these characters again because it seems like Tamaki really enjoys them, but I liked it for the most part. What do you think?
Not about it until the Red Hood backup.
Yeah. And let's say who does this one, and that's by Rosenberg, and who does the art?
Max Rayner.
Okay. Yeah, I like that too. Like I said last time, I didn't really like it, but I think that was because I was running on like 2 hours of sleep when I tried to read it. But I did really enjoy this, and I enjoyed both. The art in the main one is really, really stunning, and then I like the art less in the backup, but it's still really cool. I'm here to see. I'm excited to see what happens with that, backup story, which it's nice to get that because you don't get that often with these backup stories. And the main story is pretty good too. What would you rate it?
Probably like a 6 because my favorite part was the backup, and that's a shame.
I'm gonna give it a 7. Like I thought it was perfect. Like I said, perfectly fine. It was like a solid book.
All right. Then we've got Robin, number 4, which is written by Joshua Williamson and art by Gleb Melnikov. All right. So Casey and I kind of talked about this a little bit off air, but Casey, go ahead and share your thoughts.
So I really like the story, and I'm always like jokingly like kind of critical of Gleb with his art, but he does faces very well. There's some of these faces that I really really like, but there's also some of these action scenes, and here's the one that like stuck out to me the most. Dick is falling, and it just looks like he drew it, and then he drew the background, and he cut and pasted Dick in there like it's clip art. Like it does not look good, and it was like very jarringly not looking good. But yeah, like the story itself, I really really liked. What do you think of it?
I loved it, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I like the little snippets we get from all the Robins who show up to talk to Damien. Really, really heartwarming stuff between Dick and Damien. And man, the part that got me, we were all Robins to Bruce first, but you were my Robin. I was just like, oh man, Dick, gonna make me shed a tear here, buddy. But it was true, and I loved those two. I loved their dynamic. It's like, oh man, now I want to go read that stuff all over again, because it's just that good. But that's one of those character moments, man, that really just sticks out and will for a long time.
No, I agree, dude. And I also like how Damien was running from all of them, and he was kind of beating them and outsmarting them, but it wasn't like it's one clear they were all holding back. It wasn't just like, I hate when they use characters to make other characters look strong, and that's not how this was at all. So like it worked really well that way too. So I really, really liked the issue. It's just some of these action scenes weren't good, and it has me worried that this book is gonna be an action book, and those scenes were pretty rough.
Right.
So what do you think of the art? Since I'm kind of crapping on it, but you haven't said much about it.
I mean, I liked it for the most part. The scene that you said in particular, I do agree with, but the stuff that's right under that, where he's dodging Red Hood's batarangs, I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, that is good, and there's a lot of other parts where it's like it's fine, but it's just like, man, what the heck are you doing, dude?
Right. And like
John Byrne would never.
I know, right? I don't remember anything like from previous issues sticking out as like really bad, so I'm hoping that it was just a fluke.
Yeah, same.
I'm still here for this book. It's one of my favorites.
It is. It's really good. So like it makes you happy that he's on Batman, because Williamson's going to do it well.
Exactly.
So what would you rate it?
A 9.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8, but it's really good. And then last is Thor by Donny Cates with Michael Bandini as the guest artist. So how did you like this one?
I liked almost all of it.
Yeah. What didn't you like, since you said almost?
I'll let you guess. What do you think I wouldn't like in this issue?
Thor on Earth being kind of a goofball.
You betcha. It's just like he has never, not one single time, Casey, has he ever done that.
Yeah.
And he's doing it now just for fun while he's going through all this stuff. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I think it's what I liked it, but that's just because I'm not allowed to have Hercules that's fun anymore. So it's like I'm living vicariously through Thor. So it was enjoyable, that way for me.
As much as you may not like it, this is probably the closest you'll get to that again.
More than likely. I mean, maybe not again, because comics, they'll go back to that, but it's like I'm not going to get in on that stuff right now. But yeah, this was enjoyable to me. But
one other thing I want to say about those scenes, like, I don't like the way Bandini draws Casual Thor's face. I can't stand it. I think Jane is like insanely pretty. Like, I love the way she's drawn in this, but then Thor, I don't know. It's goofy. It doesn't look like Thor to me.
Yeah. Well, it's because he's got the ponytail.
I mean, you can rock a ponytail. It's just, I don't know. He's got like a big egg head. I don't know.
But yeah, no, I mean, I get it. I kind of figured you wouldn't like that as I was reading it. I'm not gonna lie, but Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a good bit of fun. I mean, anytime you have the wrecking crew, like it's never gonna be like something where you're worried about the main characters dying, but you're gonna have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we find out that someone pulled the old switcheroo on both Thor and Odin and told each other that the other wanted them to meet up, right? In a manner of speaking, Thor was a little more duped. But dude, I have to say, I am obsessed with Freya's Hawk Hunter armor that they gave her on this final page, dude. It is really doing it for me as far as like cool Asgardian slash Norse designs.
That's the
Absolutely loved it.
that's the which one's Freya, dude? I don't. Oh, that's the
The
okay. I
left
see it
one.
now.
The other
Yeah, the
one's
big
Angela.
old sword, big old
Yeah.
sword lady. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean it looks cool. It gives me vibes of the current Thor costume though.
Yeah, it does. It does a lot. But there's slight differences on this with like the feathers and stuff.
Push
But
up your glasses as you
awesome.
say that.
And it's just way better in my opinion. Uh, but yeah, I'm really interested how this is going to wrap up because it says this arc will be concluded next issue. But anytime like Freya, Odin, Thor, and now Angela like get together, it's bound to be a pretty good time.
Yeah. Now, do we know if Kate is like how when he's leaving, if he's staying on?
As far as I know, he's staying on.
That's good. Okay. But I mean, I like this issue. It didn't knock my socks off, but I thought it was good.
Yeah. It's man, it's in between 8 and 9 for me. The stuff on Earth, like I like what he's talking about with Jane. It's just like the background stuff just bugs the heck out of me.
Yeah. I did
So
like though how he kind of made it clear that he can just kind of turn on the dialects however he wants at any time, because oh yeah, he's a god and he's heard all of the different dialects. Like that was a really neat touch.
I did laugh when he was like, if you think about it, I'm more of a New Yorker than anyone here. Like that was funny.
Yeah.
It's just like him turning on, I'm gonna say MCU Thor vibes. I was like, whatever. What would you
But
give it though? You didn't give it a score.
yeah, I'll give it an 8. I thought, like I said, perfectly fine. It's a good book. You'll enjoy it if you like comics. Now, if you're an old Thor fan, maybe not though.
Okay. Now, books that we're excited for next week.
I gotta pull up the email. I had it, and then I went to the wrong thing.
I'll go ahead then. I'm gonna go with Wonder Girl number 3, Static number 3, and there's a couple that could be here, but I'll probably say Teen Titans Academy. I'm gonna go all DC.
Nice.
I'll probably I'll wait near yours and then I'll say what I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna say Batman Fear State Alpha One Shot. I think that's gonna be interesting. I'm really interested in the Fear State. I'm not gonna be all in and get all of the tie-ins, but I'm gonna give this one shot because I think that's the start of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of have to give that a shot, and then I'm gonna say, like you said, some of the other ones I was gonna say. So I'll go Infinite Frontier because obviously, and then I'm gonna throw a curveball and I'm gonna give Dark Ages a try. We're gonna see how that is. I have a feeling everyone's gonna die, and it's gonna be super emotional.
And that's what I was gonna say is that Dark Ages, I'm probably gonna give it a read because it is sort of a light week as far as releases go.
Yeah.
I haven't really read a Marvel event book in quite some time, so we'll see if the first issue is enough to catch my interest. But I also wanted to give an honorable mention to the next Demon Days issue because that series is fun.
Fun. Like now, technically though, Dark Ages isn't really an event book, right? Because it's more like deceased and whatnot. It's like separate universe stuff, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's like at least I think it's a self-contained miniseries, so that's more what I meant.
I got you, man. Well, I think it's Fantastic Four time.
Yeah.
Okay. So last week we talked about, four of our favorite characters. So this week, give me four of those characters, like just times where you're like, oh, I really love how these guys were written. It can be in just a single issue, or it can be whole runs of, stuff, or it could be like, oh yeah, they were in the background of this one issue, and it's like they didn't say a word. Loved it.
Well, yeah. If you didn't know already, because I wrote it down, I'm sure you would be able to guess, Casey. But for Nightwing, it's going to be Chuck Dixon. For Thor, Walt Simonson. Dr. Fate, I'm going to go with Keith Giffen and JMD Mateus. And Iron Fist, Matt Fraction and Ed Brubaker.
Nice. So for mine, Nova, I'm gonna go with the Annihilation. Like I'd already loved Nova from New Warriors, and really just the old comic book card that I had of him because I thought he looked super cool. So like from that, and then I started reading New Warriors, and then nothing happened with him for forever, and then he was in Annihilation, and I was like the right age when I read that. I'm like, this is so cool, and so like I'm gonna go with just that Nova right there. It's by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. It was really, really good. Give it a read if you get the chance. Does Comic Headquarters have that?
Comic Headquarters has as much as is still in print.
Okay, cool. And then for Hercules, I'm gonna say I'll get, like I always talk about Van Lint and Greg Pak when it comes to Hercules, but I'm gonna go Bob Layton. His was just a hoot and a holler. It was so much fun. And I think without Bob Layton, we wouldn't have the Pack and Van Linty. So go with the Bob Layton on that one.
Is that the Prince of Power miniseries?
Yeah, like I think he did 3 of them, maybe.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, in that you also see Galactus with his helmet off, and it's just like it's shaped like like it's just flesh. It's pretty great. And then my DC one was Ben Grimm, and the great Ben Grimm. But yeah, for him, there was this issue of Fantastic Four. I actually pulled up the issue when I was getting ready for this. It's issue 249, and in this issue, he fights, like Gladiator shows up and just beats the crap out of the Fantastic Four. And like I love that with Ben Grimm because Ben Grimm is like so outclassed when it comes to Gladiator, but yet he doesn't stop fighting. And something else that I kind of was realizing about about Ben Grimm is he's kind of based off of Jack Kirby. Like because there was a picture of Ben Grimm's dad in like one of the old Jack Kirby things, and it's Jack Kirby's dad. And then they did this what if when it was what if the original Marvel bullpen got the Fantastic Four powers. It was Kirby as
I remember that.
Yeah, and as Ben Grimm, and then like Ben Grimm's also Jewish. Jack Kirby was Jewish, so I'm like, he's both in the military. I could see them basing a little bit off of him. The coolest member of the Marvel bullpen. And so then who was my fourth one? I'm blanking because I didn't write it down.
I don't remember.
I'm trying to think now.
Was it DC?
It would have been because I think maybe it was Superman. Would have been.
Yeah.
Then All-Star Superman, hands down.
Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. So let's jump into the closing plugs. If you would, go to facebook.com/2worldspodcast and give our page a like. You can also find us on Twitter at 2_worlds_PC and on Instagram at 2worldspod. You can email us at 2worldspodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube at 2worldspodcast. Also, please like and review us 5 stars wherever you're listening to this.
And remember, if you want to see me with a mullet, tell your friends about this. We need to get those numbers up. But We'd love to stay in chat, but there's adventure out there. We guys gotta go get it. Bye, guys.
Bye.